So good morning to everybody. I'm kind of watching the numbers kind of tick up. And so for a second there, I saw the number went up and then it went down. I'm thinking, oh, I've already kind of scared people off. So I appreciate everybody joining. I'm going to spend the next, give or take, half hour or so kind of talking about what's going on as far as the student loan landscape. And this is an opportunity for all of you as advisors to potentially work with your clients in this regard. And we'll talk about that. It's been kind of an exciting couple of weeks, and we'll get into that. Last week, the Secure Act 2.0 was not passed, and so it failed. And so that has actually made our offering that much more attractive. And so there's a lot going on, and we'll kind of go through that. So I'm going to dive in. If at any time you have questions, as David had mentioned, please go to the Q&A and ask questions. And even though I'm kind of speaking to a blank screen, I'd like to make this more conversational than just me, kind of speaking nonstop here for, a half hour, 40 minutes or whatever it may be. So the first thing is that I want to identify the problem we have in our country. And so right now, there's more than 43 million Americans who've got student loan debt. The amount of the debt is in excess of 1.7 trillion. If that number is not alarming enough, it's expected that number is going to grow by another $1 trillion in the next 10 years. I have been on dozens of different articles where they refer to the student loan problem in our country as a national crisis. And I frankly believe it is. It's the largest household debt after mortgages. And the average amount in a public university that somebody borrows is in excess of $30,000. And student loan is outpacing tuition by almost 354%. And so in any conversation you get into today about finances, whether it's serving as a retirement plan advisor, an investment advisor, or even at a family or social gathering, often student loan comes up and there's just not a lot of tangible solutions for it. I'm very proud of the program and the solution that we have built, and we're excited to be working with RPAG members and to be offering this to you. And so the first thing is that when looking at this problem, most people feel like, oh, this is just a problem for youngsters. And if you look at our chart right there, you're going to see that the largest segment is the 25 to almost 50 segment, which is mostly the millennials. But frankly, this does impact people that are younger and older. We've had situations that we've counseled people in their late 60s and 70s in regard to their own student loan debt. So this is a problem that unfortunately is not going to go away. And where I think this is becoming kind of in a sweet spot from a business standpoint is that by the year 2025, 75% of the workforce in the United States is going to be made up of millennials. So there's an opportunity, and why this is becoming seemingly overnight a mainstream employee benefit. And so this is a survey that we received from Sherman. I won't go through line by line, but I'm going to highlight a couple things. That 59% of young workers saying paying off their student loans is a higher priority than saving for retirement. And so I was in a presentation a couple of weeks ago where I said I'm kind of an old retirement guy where I'm all about saving and investing. And so there's the young workers, the older workers. And so the older workers, again, I'm about saving, but for the youngsters out there, their mentality is, and their angst is about what they've got to pay today. And so if they've got loans, they can't even focus on retirement. And so the long game that I'm playing as a retirement plan advisor is that we want to put a program in that's going to alleviate that angst, that's going to either work towards paying down or all of their student loans off, so eventually they can get into retirement. And so looking at the various stats right there, let's look at the last one, is that employees are saying they would commit to their employer for 5 years or longer if the employer offered a student loan program in a very similar way to what they're doing with their 401k plan. And so the other thing, and we talk about this all the time, and this is kind of the headline of the page, is that more than half the workforce is out there and is open to taking new jobs. So 52% of workers in 2021 were looking for new jobs. And so employees are looking for cost-effective ways to help them from a recruitment as well as from a retention standpoint. And so this is a very cost-effective way to do that. And then from an advisor standpoint, we always give the words sticky. We want to find something that's sticky this is sticky, that it's going to help you lock down your existing clients, and it's going to open doors to you for other clients or companies that you're unable to get into. And I've got a couple of my own examples that I'll go through a little bit later. And so here is an amazing statistic, is that right now, and I even think that number is a little bit high, but it's saying only 10% of employers are offering some sort of an employer-sponsored student loan program, but this number is expected to explode in roughly the next 21 months, so that more than a third of all companies are going to be offering this benefit by the end of next year. And so if I hear that, we are mentioning this left and right to our companies, to NFP advisors, to RPAG members, is that you want to be the first one mentioning it to your client before one of your competitors does. And so what has made this so appealing is that in March of 2020, the government came out and they passed the CARES Act. And what the CARES Act says is if an employer gives money to an employee for student loan debt, the employer gets it as a tax deduction, but the employee receives up to $5,250 per year tax-free. That's better than a 401k plan, which is tax deferred. They get it tax-free. Now, a question somebody is thinking is that how long does this last? Well, this at the end of 2020, this was extended for 5 years. I will tell you, we have two of the top ERISA law firms in the country on retainer. December 15th of 2020, I am sweating bullets thinking this thing is going to go away. And I'm talking to them almost a daily basis. And both of them are telling me it's going to be extended. It's going to be extended. Don't worry. Don't worry. I think it was December 27th is when they came out and said this is extended for 5 years. And so now we're in this in year 2. And I probably talk to these law firms, I don't know, a couple times a quarter just to kind of check in on various legislation, the Secure Act, private letter ruling, things like that. And what essentially they've come back and told me is they think it's 98% sure that this is going to be made permanent. So it's under a 5-year period today, but we believe this will be made permanent. So this is a great inclusion of a benefit right now. So what I want to do is talk about the various types of programs that are out there. And before I necessarily go into what we can offer and what's out there, I want to take a step back. And so one thing that's been getting a lot of noise and a lot of information is in regard to the private letter ruling, also called the PLR. And so in 2018, Abbott Labs, which Abbott Labs is a company based out of Schaumburg, Illinois, which is a suburb of Chicago, they went and got a private letter ruling as it pertains to their 401k plan. And for those of you who may not be well versed in this, a private letter ruling is an exception. They want to do something different to their 401k plan. And so what a lot of people don't understand, and this is where it gets a lot of noise, and I typically roll my eyes at it because it's better than nothing, but it's not solving a problem. What Abbott Labs did is that they have a 401k plan, and that's the example I'm going to give here in a second. It's the 401k plan offers a match of dollar for dollar up to 6% to their participants. What their private letter ruling stated is for any employee at Abbott Labs who can show documented proof that 2% or greater is going towards student loans, then any unused portion of the employer match would go directly into the participant's 401k account. So hypothetically, we've got a 30-year-old who's got massive student loan debt, and participant 1 is making a 0% contribution into the 401k. They're able to show the documented proof that they're making this payment into the 401k. The entire 6% employer match goes into their 401k without them making a contribution of their own. Okay, so again, it's certainly better than nothing, but it's not solving the student loan problem as it exists today. So there was some 401k record keepers out there, some very big name 401k record keepers that were supporting the private letter ruling. And what they needed was the Secure Act 2.0 passing. They needed that rubber stamp to occur. The Department of Labor came out and said, we're not issuing any further private letter rulings. It's this one. So you're taking on a little bit of risk if you want to go that way. And again, it's not all that once you really kind of understand it. So that is the private letter ruling. What I want to do is I want to introduce is that in the industry, as well as what we do, there are 3 different versions of programs that are out there. Not to mention, I actually spoke to somebody yesterday who was really excited to simply just offer a payroll deduction with the different bells and whistles that we had to offer. So that's not listed here. Payroll deduction is employees can decide that they're going to pay their student loans through this program right here. And so that would simply be a payroll deduction to get the different bells and whistles that go with it. But the 3 programs that are out there that involve the employer is called direct pay, employer match, and then flexible matching program. The largest iteration in the country today is called direct pay. And what direct pay real simply is an employer says, I want to offer this brand new benefit to our employees. And so in the example I've got here, they're going to come up with $100 per month. So any employee that's got student loan debt, we're going to give $100 a month, $100 a month, $1,200 a year. So from the employee's perspective, they love direct pay because they're doing nothing. In conjunction with the CARES Act, they're receiving this money tax-free. All right. Now, from the employer's perspective, it's great that you're able to do this. If everybody had unlimited benefit budget, then everybody would do it. But now the employer is coming up with a brand new benefit, in this example, of $1,200 per employee that's got student loan debt. It's tax-free to the employee. It's tax deductible to them, but they're still paying $1,200. And what they're finding is the other employees that don't have student loan debt are often upset saying, hey, this is not a benefit for me. What about me? And so this is not a budget neutral item, but right now this has been the most popular program that's out there. We at Thrive have clients that are doing direct pay, and we can offer direct pay. We also have the ability to do a hybrid plan, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. The second thing is called employer match. And what employer match is, if companies say, we really don't want to have this in any way kind of combined with our 401k or 403b plan, we're going to create a lookalike program. So in the example I gave, and you're going to see it again in the next slide, if the match is dollar for dollar to 6%, a company may say, we're going to create a brand new kind of a student loan employer match program. And let's say they offer 50 cents on the dollar up to 6%. So this has been the least utilized program that's out there because it asks the employee to come up with a brand new or an additional amount that they're going to contribute, as well as the employer has to come up with a brand new benefit budget item above and beyond what they're doing in the 401k plan. But again, we can do it. It's nice, it's clean, it's easy. So we've had some people that just want clean and easy, even though it's not the most cost-effective mechanism. So the third program that we want to talk about and highlight is called the Flexible Matching Program. And I slow down as I say this because at Thrive, saying it real honestly, real frankly, this is our secret sauce. We are the only company in the industry who offers this, and we have 75 clients. And so it's difficult to completely gauge how many clients each particular vendor in the student loan space has. It is our belief that we have more clients than anybody out there today on an individual basis. And with the flexible matching program, we believe by the end of 2023, and with how business is going, we will have more clients than everybody on a combined basis. Let me explain how this program works. So I'm using the example I've given before, but it can be for anything. An employer has a 401k match that is dollar for dollar up to 6%. So what the employer does is the employer says, look, 401ks have been around since the late 70s to early 80s. They've largely been unchanged. We like the idea of integrating student loans, the Thrive program with it. Thrive is not part of a company's 401k or 403b. It's going to sit next to it in a non-ERISA sidecar bucket. Okay. But from up above, the employer is saying, we want to do this. We're integrating it. It's offering it in conjunction to it. And so the way it works is they're putting this offer out there to the employee, and the employee has 3 choices as far as how they will participate. Option number 1 is they say, I'm going to put my entire 6% contribution into the retirement account. and with it, they get the entire employer match. So option number one is retirement only. That's nice, that's clean, that's easy, so be it. Option number two is where things get interesting. The employee gets really excited about this. They make the contribution into the 401k 0%. They make their entire contribution of 6% into the non-ERISA sidecar student loan bucket Thrive. The entire employer match follows them, and then either per pay period or per month, however the company sets it up, that 12%, the employee 6% and the employer match 6%, is swept out of their account and goes directly towards paying back student loan debt. Again, we are the only company in the industry who integrates the employee contribution with the employer match. That is a big deal. And so the third option is this does not have to be an all or nothing scenario. So under this example, the employee says, I'm going to put 3% into my 401k, and they get the first 3% match into the 401k. They then put the next 3% into Thrive, and they get 3% there. Where companies love this program is that they are budget neutral from a maximum exposure to what their retirement budget would be. The real cost is the employer match or contribution into it, and they're drawing from that to go into student loans. Employees love it, and I'm going to go into some additional benefits now with Thrive, is that it empowers them, and that's what millennials want more than anything, is the choice. It allows them to say, do you want to go all retirement? Do you want to go all student loan? Or do you want a combination between the two? And that's what employees are looking for. One of our main ideas in the creation of Thrive is that we witnessed and we have seen that there is an excess of $24 billion a year of unused or underutilized employer matching dollars. So if there's a company that's offering a match of 6%, a dollar for dollar up to 6%, that's essentially telling you you're not going to get 100% participation. Not everybody's going to 6%. The thing you have to convince your employer is, look, if you're willing to put that offer out there, extend that offer to the student loan, and you're budget neutral, and to go back to some of those previous statistics that we looked at before, this is going to dramatically help you from a recruitment and a retention standpoint. I'm going to go into 3 considerations to be aware of, which is the taxation, the vesting, and compliance testing. Let me stop right now. And again, if anybody has any questions, either in the chat or Q&A, please do that at this time, and I'll give about 30 seconds. Okay, I'm going to keep talking, and I'll just look and see if anything pops up. And David, oh, there's a question right there. So it is budget neutral. There are some fees to administer the plan, and I'm going to go through that in a little bit. There are some fees. And so the reality, what Thrive is that we are a specialty third-party administrative company. And I'll tell you this right now, we have a one-time, but I'm going to show this a couple slides later. We have a one-time implementation fee of $2,500. And what that is we're going to work with a company and or their payroll company to set up the file feed to remit contributions. So we have a one-time implementation fee. And then what our ongoing fee is $6.95 per participant in the program per month. We do have a minimum of 42. So that's a $300 monthly fee. That fee can be charged to the employer, charged to the employee, or split between it. So we do have that fee. Our fee is very competitive in the industry, and especially when you go through all our services. We have a couple other questions, so give me 1 second here. Okay, great question. Does the offset need to be written into the 401k plan document? The answer is no. And so I normally mention this, but I did not. The most popular question that we get asked from employers is, if we do this, do we have to change our 401k provider? And the answer is absolutely not. And in regard to this question, you will not even need to amend your existing plan document. The way this works, if you want to think about it, is if an employee is not putting in to the match or up to their maximum, as much as the retirement plan advisor me wants to go shake him and say, what are you doing? We don't. All you're going to see from a participant standpoint is John Doe or Jane Doe is only putting in 3% or they're not participating. You don't need to do it. The most popular question we get asked from employees, and this will make a lot of sense, is employees come to us and say, if I want to put my 6% into the 401k, can I then direct my employer to have the 6% match go into Thrive? The answer to that is no, because that would violate the plan document. And the plan document is what rules the day. We are again taking advantage of unused matching. And it's interesting. Our very first client had a match of dollar for dollar up to 5%. I was there. This is right pre-COVID. I was there for the education enrollment meetings. And with it, there was a young person there. His name was Billy. They kept calling him Billy. And Billy went out of his 401k, made his 401k contribution 0, put 5% to get the entire match into Thrive. Kept saying, this is too good to be true. It's too good to be true. It's not. So about 3 weeks later, the client manager on the account for Thrive comes into my office and said, do you remember Billy from the name of the company? And I said, sure. And they said, well, Billy just put 5% into the 401k match. And I said, did he stop his contribution to Thrive? And the answer is no. So I called Billy up and I said, is there a problem with Thrive? And Billy laughs. And so not the type of employee we all want, but what Billy said to me is he was attempting to game the system. What our secret sauce, and we have a patent pending on the process that integrates the 401k with the student loan, is 401k always comes first. So as soon as Billy puts a 5% contribution in his 401k, the match goes to the 401k. It always goes 401k first. And then the 5% Billy was putting into Thrive became a payroll deduction on his own. So I know I gave a long answer to a short question, but hopefully that explains it. I'm going to go through the compliance issues in just a second. Could this be applied to employees that have Parent Plus loans? The answer is yes, is that it has to be an official Parent Plus loan. So I've got 4 kids. If my kids had student loans and my company offered Thrive, I can't just do this to help them out of the goodness of my heart. It would have to be designated as a Parent Plus loan. But if you have an official Parent Plus loan, the answer is yes. Can you get my email? I have a large hospital. I tell you what, let me give you that right now to everybody, but then I will do it later as well. My email is david.krasnow, which is spelled Krasnow @nfp.com. Okay. And again, I'm looking forward. And so please reach out to me. I'm the most responsive person on the planet. You get hold of me, you'll get right back. We had a couple other questions that popped in, and I love the participation. How does this affect testing? We're going to come to that in just 1 minute. If you'll be patient with me, can you handle where all student loans may be housed? Does it matter what record keeper is being used? So, does not matter. We have them of our 75 clients. I think we've got them with something 17 or 18 different providers that are out there. Doesn't matter at all. We don't stand, there's a line in the sand. We handle, the student loans. They handle the 401k. We have nothing to do with them. The 52 credit works if the participant has the debt themselves. It would work for Parent Plus. So yes, it would work for Parent Plus. And my email again, so it's david.krasnow, K-R, A as in Apple, SNOW @nfp.com. And David, I would ask, could we email this out to the participants afterwards? Sure. And what I will do is I'll even try to type it in one of my slides here in just a second, okay?
I'm going to type it in the chat for you, David.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Great questions. So what I want to do, and keep the questions coming, this makes my presentation in my mind so much better. It shows that you guys are engaged. Give me 1 second, and I'm going to come back to the 3 considerations, and I'm going to show you why, okay? Is that Thrive, when Thrive began, we were 100% all about student loans. However, based on different comments and feedback and things like that, we've expanded the Thrive offering. So Thrive can be only student loans if you want to. It can be only 529 if you want to. And it can only be emergency savings. So it can be an and situation or an or situation. Okay. The reason I wanted to bring this up is I wanted to have the conversation with all three as we go through the taxation, the vesting, and the compliance. All right. So first, the taxation. With an employee's own contribution into any of the three programs, student loans, college savings, or emergency, it is taxable to the employee as ordinary income. All right. So I want to make sure that that is clear. The employee's own contribution is taxable as ordinary income. The employer contribution for the 529 and the emergency savings is also taxable as ordinary income, but the employer's contribution into the student loans is tax-free to the employee up to $5,250. So that is the taxation aspect of it, okay? And so some people may say, well, or what about employees if, doing the 529, the emergency savings? Before the CARES Act, the only way that Thrive worked is it was taxable for both the employee and the employer contribution. And employees shrugged their shoulders and said, well, we prefer if there was a tax break. But the fact that we're opening this door and integrating it with the contribution of the match, that's a great benefit. So some employees may love it. Most of what we've done is have included student loans. I had a presentation earlier this week with an NFP advisor for an emergency savings only plan. So we can do it anyway. So that's the taxation. The second component of it is the vesting. So if there's people out there that are thinking this, so I'm going to say it. If there's a company that has a 401k safe harbor match, people say, does that work? Not only does that work, that is ideal because vesting is not applicable and there's no compliance. So that takes two of the three considerations. The third one being the taxation. It takes two of the three considerations and makes them not applicable. Let's say there's a company that's got a 5-year graded vesting schedule. So this is one of the things that we up front want to have a conversation with them about, because every single month, per pay period or per month, their contribution in the employer match goes into the Thrive bucket and is swept out to go towards student loans, 529, or emergency savings. So the employer has to make a decision what they're going to do about it. So I'm going to tell you what about 75% of our clients have done is they've said, this is a brand new benefit tool. We're going to let those dollars go. We see it. We understand it. We're going to let those dollars go. About 25% of our clients have treated this like a tuition reimbursement program. And what I mean by that is we can provide them a document that they put on their letterhead. They have the participant sign it as participating in Thrive. And what the participant signs is essentially a promissory note that they understand that they're taking money that's unvested. And if their employment ends for any reason, they are responsible for paying that money back to the employer. Now, I want to make clear to all of you, and I say this in client meetings, is that while we can provide that legal document to you and for you, we are not in the collection business, so we're not going after that. That's something that an employer would have to decide if they want to do it. About half of that 25% that is doing the tuition reimbursement route has kind of winked at me and said, we're not really going to go after that money, but if it's going to help the employee think twice before taking another job, mission accomplished. So that's the second thing we wanted to kind of go as far as consideration was taxation. And the third one has to do with compliance. And with compliance, knock on wood, none of our 75 clients as of yet has this been an issue, but this could be an issue in theory if you go to a company and they get really excited about Thrive and you've got a large number of people with student loans, they take their 401k from the example of 6% down to 0%, this could adversely impact compliance testing. Now, one of the things that we can do, because this is a non-ERISA plan, is the employer can say to the employee, you have to put the first 3% of your contribution in the 401k before you're eligible to get into Thrive. So they can do that. So this has not been an issue yet, but it has the possibility to, and we want to be proactive and fully transparent in that conversation with our, with our clients. So let me stop for a second. We just covered a lot. Okay, my email is out there. I see we have, and so I'm going to go through the costs in a second. So it is the same cost, and I think that's my next slide. So let me actually go to that. Okay, is that, it's not my next slide, but let me get back on here. I'll come back. So here is what it is. It's $2,500. So whether a company decides to do just only student loans or they want to do all three of them, the employee cost remains the same. It's $6.95 per participant that's in the program, not eligible, but in the program per month with a $300 monthly minimum enrollment. In addition, and this is a special for RPAG, we revenue share $2 per participant back to each one of you as the advisor. And so that is a better deal than an advisor. If an advisor comes to us off the street, they're getting revenue sharing, but they're not getting it at the same level. And so we have an advisor that we talked to a little bit more than a year ago in Nashville, Tennessee, who became so excited that has written so much business that she hired a full-time student loan advisor here early in 2022. So if you think of your block of business and what it can be and the number of participants, this could be a significant incremental revenue component. Now, with Thrive, what we do is I've been fortunate enough that we've had some large record keepers and household name student loan providers knock on our door and ask questions about being acquired or throwing money at it. And so I own Thrive 100%. Okay. And what we are doing, we are the only student loan national provider that is revenue sharing. So what we're doing is we're looking to work with advisors like you. And then again, we have cut a better deal with RPAG than we're doing off the street because we want to work with you. Can we return that to the plan, to the client? What we can actually do is we can do that as a type of an offset to reduce their fees, is what we can do. So the answer to that, to the gentleman who asked that, is that we can work with that. Can you handle, for all students, can you handle? Okay, I think that question was asked before. So that is something we could do. If you are not interested in receiving part of the revenue sharing, we can do customized pricing, is I guess where I'm going with that. So hopefully that made sense. I also want to tell you is that we have done a lot of advertising on LinkedIn. If any of you would like to link in with me, please do so, because we're posting content a couple times a week. Please share that. It'll help you with your LinkedIn community. We have had two companies in the last 3 years that have come to us. One company was in Utah, another one was in Delaware, that are now Thrive clients. And from going the Thrive route, it needs somebody with retirement plan experience to talk about the considerations. There's enough in there that they need that retirement plan expertise. And both of these, we started having conversations, and I look up Free ERISA. And one of them, the fund lineup was terrible. And so when we got done, we said, here's some other things that we can do. Do you mind if we talk about the 401k? And they said, that'd be great, because we don't have a retirement plan advisor. And I delicately pointed out that I had looked at Free ERISA, and it shows that, and I mentioned this gentleman's name, had been receiving significant compensation. They paused and said, he introduced us to Principal 12 years ago. We didn't realize he was being compensated. We ended up getting hired as the advisor on the account. In this account in Delaware, they had more than 40% of their assets in stable value. Now, I want you to all know we have a non-compete agreement with everybody at RPAG. So I'm telling you that, not that we're ever going to target your clients by any means ever. It's against our agreement, but we've had a couple things that have fallen on our lap. So if there's an account that you're not getting into or the door's been shut on you, here's a different side door that you can get into. And this advisor in Tennessee has been great in that now she's got business for deals that she didn't get, but she's constantly in front of them, giving them articles and different things with that. So I give this to you from a marketing perspective. If anybody wants to have additional conversations about that, I would love to have that conversation with you. I went a little out of order for a second, is that emergency savings have been this it factor even before COVID and even more so now. And I'm not going to go through everything here, but more than 12 million Americans are taking out payday loans in excess of $9 billion a year. And so these are not significant loans. And what makes ours so different is the ability to, again, integrate with the employee's contribution and the employer match. Nobody else can do that. There's companies that are doing emergency savings. All they're doing is payroll deduction. So employers love this. We can oftentimes cap it so they're not taking advantage of it. And then here is, the top stressors as a result of COVID. And the largest one, which is the bottom line there, is that 41% have said, I don't have enough money, for a rainy day fund, for an emergency room copay or anything like this. And so these are disruptive but positive things to bring to your clients' attention. So an absolute bell and whistle that we've got built into Thrive, and it's already built into the pricing, is something called Evoshare. And Evoshare is a cashback program. So anybody that's enrolled in Thrive, what they would do is they would simply register any existing credit or debit cards. They're not going to go out and have to get a new affinity card. Look in your wallet, and any existing credit or debit card you've got today, you register them, and then you can get up to 30% cash back at over 10,000 merchants and 700,000 hotels. And the money that comes back, you can then use, and it will go directly towards your student loan, 529, or emergency savings program. And Apple's got a feature that what you can do is, if you do this as part of the setup with Evoshare, is that anytime you walk into an Evoshare provider, you'll get an automatic alert. So if you walk into Target, you get an alert. You walk into Walmart. So I'm not very good at this, but I was at Lowe's this last weekend and solved a problem. I actually got it done. And so you get an alert. You use your existing credit or debit card. So this is an added bell and whistle feature to what's taking place. And so I went through the pricing. I'm going to shift gears for about 10 minutes to a separate division we've got called Silver Lion. Let me again stop. We've covered a lot. Additional comments, questions, thoughts, anything, please. I'm going to take a quick drink and see if anybody's got anything else about Thrive. All right, so not now. So I'm going to keep going. So in addition to Thrive, we have a separate division that's called Silver Lion Student Loan Advisors. So if we go back, we had almost 44 million Americans who've got student loan debt. If we look at that debt, 92% of those loans are federal student loans. I had them when I was in college 100 years ago. Many of you, may have or even still do. And so when you take those loans, depending on the type of loan, it's either for a semester or for a year. The average person has in excess of 5 loans because most times they get loans per semester. And when you take a loan, you take what's called the standard repayment loan. I did not mean to do that. And so the standard repayment loan, it would be like you going out and getting a mortgage and they pound their fists and they say, the only thing you can take is a 30-year fixed. And you may say, well, I'd like to take an adjustable rate mortgage or a balloon or this. Nope. The only thing you can take is standard repayment. That's the only type of loan that's issued to you when you're in college. Okay. And then what they do is when you get out of college, you've got 6 months of full-time employment before you have to start repaying it back. So what's happened is that there's almost 80 different types of federal student loan programs that are out there, new ones that have come out with new terms, policies, limitations, and they have continued to get better and evolve. And so The most popular one right now is an income-based repayment loan, which also takes into consideration your number of dependents. And what we have found is that 75% of the time when somebody comes to us and takes a look at a standard repayment loan, there is an option that can and will significantly be improved. And the term for a federal student loan is by consolidating the loan as opposed to refinancing. If you take the loan and you go to a SoFi, which is doing so much business on that 8% that they're able to have naming rights to where the Super Bowl's at, that's such a small piece of the pie, but you lose a lot of the tax advantages you've got in the federal student loan program. So what we do at Silver Lion is we've got a program. There's no cost to the employer. There's no initial cost to the employee. So an employee comes to us, and I've got 14 advisors on staff with Silver Lion. Participant comes in. This participant was actually a participant at one of my 401k clients. She came to me, 32 years old, married mother of 3, had massive student loan debt. We do a free analysis for her. She comes to us, she has no information. We're inside of about 10 minutes, able to go into the Department of Education website. Once we get her social security number, her address, information, we're able to pull up what's called her FAFSA account, her FAFSA number. It immediately gives us all the various loans that she's got. She had 6 different loans totaling $65,000 is what she owed, just under $550 a month. We look at the various types of income-based loans that she was eligible based on her income and her filing status. We were able to consolidate her loans. We were able to take her payment down to between $99 and $109 per month. She was eligible for the loan forgiveness program for non-government workers, so it's over 20 years. And so she would only have to pay $25,000 of her $65,000 in loans. She was in tears on the phone, which happens more often than you would believe it. So we get all the way to that point. And what we say to her is, do you want us to handle the processing? If she says yes, and we say, before she says yes, here's our processing fee. We only handle federal loans. There's 3 different types of loans. There is one that's $495. There's one that's $695. That's the most popular. And the least popular one is $1,495. $1,495 is if the loan has gone into garnishment. It takes 10 to 12 months to get it back into good standing. And there is legal filings that we do on behalf of that participant. They know they're in bad shape. So this particular woman, the fee was $695. One of our standard options is we will spread our processing payment out over 3 months. So even with breaking down our fee of, call it $700 divided by 3, what is that, $235 a month? Even with paying us those first 3 months, it came out to be a less total expense than she's paying today to go light years forward with this. So again, no cost to the employer to do this, no cost to the employee until they know the outcome of what we're doing. So this is a major opportunity that I would encourage each of you to jump on right now. And the reason is because of COVID, they actually stalled participants having to make their student loan repayments. However, that goes away May 1st. So all of a sudden, we've hired up expecting business to be booming. This is something to go to your employers and say, hey, this is something to be aware of. So I'm going to kind of just get to the end in the interest of time. I wanted to do this in about 45 minutes. So let's kind of give a summary to our programs. Thrive. We are the only one who is doing the flexible matching program that integrates with the employee contribution. We are the only provider nationally who is offering the integration not only with student loans, but also 529 in emergency savings. We're the only one who is not only working with advisors, but is revenue sharing, the only one doing any type of an Evoshare arrangement. And then again, Silver Lion works in conjunction. we've had many companies that have come to us and looked at both of these programs and say, we think it makes sense together. Silverline is the finance aspect, that here's a way to bring the cost down for the employee. And then Thrive is this innovative, unique way to help us fund it in conjunction with the retirement plan that's going to help us from a recruitment and a retention standpoint. So I think I've reached the end of my formal presentation. I wanted to leave 15 minutes either for questions or to give you time back in your day. Comments, questions, please. I'll let you see my big head here. There's no additional cost to the employer. There potentially would be a cost to an employee if they say they want to do Silverline, but they're going to know what the outcome is before they say yes or no. So they'll say, okay, I'm saving X amount of dollars. Here's the cost. And they'll tell us yes or no of whether they want to do it or not. Thank you all very much. You have been a very engaged group. I appreciate it. I look forward to hopefully connecting with many of you on LinkedIn and receiving emails. And if you've got opportunities, or if you want to see if something is a good opportunity, please do not hesitate to contact me. David, I'll turn it back over to you. Thank you all very much for your time today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, David. That was a great presentation. And thank you, everybody, for joining us today. This webinar will be posted within the next 2 weeks within the Video Learning Center on RPAG. Thanks, everybody. Take care.